If your selling feels heavy, awkward, or like you're constantly having to explain and then re-explain yourself, then I want you to consider something. Maybe it's not the selling that you're bad at. Maybe your offer is not the problem. Maybe you do not need more confidence, visibility, content, or even a completely new business model. Perhaps your leads are just too vague. And when your leads are vague, everything feels harder than it needs to. Your messages feel like they're not quite landing. Conversations feel a bit woolly. Your confidence starts to wobble. You find yourself giving more free advice, adding more context, softening your message, and wondering whether you need to change, well, frankly, everything. But sometimes the issue isn't you. Sometimes the issue is that your best energy is being spent on people who are never likely to need, value, or buy what you or your offer are in the first place. Now, inside AI Alchemy, my business, this month, our theme is all about boundaries, capacities, and sustainable growth. And the line I keep coming back to is this: growth that costs your health is not success. That's not just a nice quote that you can stick on the fridge as a reminder. It's a practical business filter. If the way you're trying to grow means constantly overgiving, second guessing yourself, chasing vague interest, and trying to make the wrong people understand your value, then that's just not a sales problem. It's a capacity problem. And very often, when we dig down, it's a lead quality problem. Because the quality of people you're trying to sell to affects everything. It affects how easy your message is to write, how confident you feel when you're talking about your offer, how much explaining you have to do, how much free advice you're giving away. And it affects whether business growth feels focused and calm or scattered and exhausting. Now, I've noticed a lot of women start overgiving at around about this point, not because they're naturally bad at boundaries, and it's not because they don't understand business, but uncertainty creates a particular kind of pressure. If you don't know where your next good fit lead is coming from, every bit of attention that you're receiving in your business starts to feel important. Every comment might matter. Every polite inquiry could lead somewhere. Every vague, I'm interested, you take notice of. Every person who engages with you becomes someone you mentally file away as a possible future client. And that is exhausting because now you're not just selling, you're carrying possibilities. Maybe you're carrying those maybe people, you're carrying lukewarm interest. You're carrying people who might buy one day if you can explain it perfectly enough for them. And when everything is unclear, well, your brain keeps everything open. So you compensate with more effort. And that looks like more content, more explanation, maybe more free value, more trying to be helpful. And then this is the bit I really want to name. Overgiving is what happens when your lead generation is too vague. You're trying to turn the wrong people into clients. You're trying to warm up people who are not really aligned with you or your offer. You're trying to educate people who are not actually at the right stage. And you're trying to make a broad audience behave like a focused one. That takes so much energy. You might say to me, but I'm not good at selling. And I could counter that by saying, maybe you're trying to sell to people who don't have the problem you solve. You could say, my content just isn't working. I could counter that with, maybe your content is reaching people who enjoy your ideas but are not commercially aligned. You could say, well, my offer isn't converting. But maybe the offer is being shown to people who were never going to value it. You might be saying, I need to give more. And I could say, maybe you've already given enough to the wrong people. And that's a very different diagnosis, because if you believe the problem is you, the answer will always be more of you, more visibility, more confidence, more explaining, more free value, more proving. But if the problem is vague or poor fit leads, the answer is not to become louder. The answer is to become more precise. And that is where boundaries come in. Because boundaries in business are not just about diary management. You know, the don't take calls after 5, don't respond to clients on a weekend. They're also about attention. Who gets your best thinking? Who gets your unpaid advice? Who gets your follow-ups? Who gets the space inside your head? If you don't have a clear enough lead generation process, the answer will accidentally become pretty much everyone. Anyone who looks vaguely interested gets a piece of you. Anyone who asks a question gets a thoughtful, well-considered answer. Anyone who says, maybe later, gets space in your head. And before long, your attention is scattered across so many people who were never properly qualified. That's not always a boundary problem, to be fair. It's often a lead clarity problem. And that matters because your attention is one of the most valuable resources in your business. Not just your time, but your attention, your ability to think clearly, the ability to make decisions, to notice real opportunities, to present in your life, or to be present in your life outside the business. And this feels especially important to me as we career towards the school summer holidays. I'm on a countdown now, calendar countdown, because I don't want to be physically present with my children, but mentally somewhere else thinking, I should be finding more leads, I should be following up, I should really post something. That's not the kind of business I'm interested in building. And I know a lot of women have their own version of that. Might not be the school holidays, might be something entirely different, but you have your own version. So this is the question. Are you actually bad at selling? Or are you trying to sell to people who were never right for your offer? If I try and sell a horse rug to someone who doesn't own a horse, I could have the best rug in the world, and I still wouldn't get very far. I could explain the fabric, I could talk about turnout, I could explain winter, mud, and why horses seem to personally enjoy bankrupting me. But if the person I'm selling to doesn't have a horse, they don't need a horse rug. That doesn't mean the horse rug is bad, and it doesn't mean I'm bad at selling. It means I'm talking to the wrong person. Now, in fairness, business is not always that obvious, which is why we often miss the clues. They're a lot more subtle. The wrong person can still look close enough. They can be in business, can be active online, they can be friendly, curious, could be in your network. But that doesn't automatically make them a good fit lead. A good fit lead is someone who has a stronger likelihood of needing, valuing, and being relevant to your offer. And that's exactly why lead finding or lead generation matters so much. That is precisely the thinking behind Connection Scout, which is my current offer. Connection Scout finds tailored leads matched to your unique niche defined by you and you alone. That is its one and only job. It doesn't replace your relationships. It doesn't manage your follow-ups. It doesn't promise instant clients. It doesn't promise every lead is going to turn into a sale. But it gives you a clearer, more focused place to begin. Because one of the most draining parts of lead generation is not always speaking to people directly. It's finding the right people in the first place. Sitting down and thinking, where do I even start today? It searches profiles, it's checking the relevance, second guessing whether someone fits, falling down rabbit holes, and when that work feels too hard, you go back to posting. Because posting feels familiar. You can see the results of a post whether you've put it out live, how many people are reacting, even if it's not solving your lead problem. So the shift I want you to consider is this. What if the next level of your business is not about becoming louder? What if the next level is about becoming more precise, not more visible to everyone, but more connected to better fit people? Because when you're speaking to people who are more relevant, you don't have to drag them across the finish line. You don't have to explain every operational layer. You don't have to prove so hard that the problem exists. You can speak clearly. You can position yourself more confidently. You can let the wrong people politely opt out without seeing it as some kind of personal failure. So if selling feels hard, ask a kinder and perhaps more strategic question. Not what's wrong with me, but ask, who should I actually be talking to? Because if the problem is lead quality, the solution is not more of you. The solution is better fit leads. And that is a much calmer business. Now, if this kind of thinking around running business is useful, make sure you subscribe to my channel because this is exactly what I explore here each and every week. I'll also be putting the details below for Connection Scout. So if you want support finding tailored leads matched to your unique niche, you'll know how to find me. Because you don't need to keep guessing who to talk to. You don't need to overgive your way into business. You don't need to sell harder to people who were never right for your offer. Growth that costs your health is not success. And maybe the next question is not, how do I sell harder? But maybe the next question should be, who should I actually be talking to?